This week on The Traitors.
Chaos. No, it's you, Danielle.
It's not me.
You are causing chaos.
I'm not causing chaos. You're making this personal, but I'm telling you
And
today,
Jeremy warned me. I still believed you. And Jeremy is murdered.
Yo, what is up, everybody? Welcome back to We're going to be talking about the new episode of The Traitors. That is Season 3, Episode 6. Let's get right into this. Okay, guys, this was one of the craziest episodes yet of this season of The Traitors. It was just so much mess. So let's get started. Just as a reminder, Nikki was banished from the round table. She was a faithful. So the traitors are now meeting Danielle, Boston, Rob, and Carolyn. So Carolyn confronts Danielle. She says, I've heard that people are saying that you have thrown my name. You, Danielle. And Boston Bob is saying, you guys, we gotta work together. We need to stick together as faithfuls. And Carolyn is so mad at this point. She says, to be honest, the only people we're supposed to figure out who to kill tonight, the only people that I want to murder right now is both of you. And Danielle says, well, you know what? We are family. I'll make it right by you. And she apologizes. She says that she's sorry. So now they have to figure out who to murder. So they know that Ciara and Dolores are safe because they had the immunity. Wes is dangerous. He suspects Bob. He suspects Boston Rob. But if they were to kill him, the suspicion would be even greater. What about Bob H, they wonder? I mean, that's a possibility. And then another possibility is Ivar, because no one would banish him at the round table anyway. But then eventually they come up with a decision. So it's the next morning, time for breakfast, people are arriving. Many people are now questioning Boston Rob. Derek, for one, thinks that it's Rob. And he says that if Boston Rob shows up right now, that will like solidify his theory that Boston Rob is not a faithful. What I'm starting to notice though is I'm really noticing that the group is starting to shrink. We're definitely getting there's still a lot of people, but I'm noticing the size diminish. Alright, so last ones to walk in as everyone is arriving are Danielle, Wes, and Ivar, meaning that Bob H was murdered. And it really came down to the fact that killing Wes was going to be way too risky. So Alan comes in and says something about the mission and something about blowing up. So before the mission, though, they all have some time to kind of hang out and to speak with each other. Okay, Tom Sandoval has a theory that it's Dolores. Listen, Tom really isn't that bright. Dolores says that she's totally lost on who it might be. Then Boston Rob is now going around trying to convince people that it might be Wes. Why? Well, because Wes was so confident telling everybody to banish Nikki, and clearly Nikki wasn't a traitor. Wes and Derek are working together now to take down Boston Rob. And then Britney tells Carolyn, hey, I heard that you threw my name out there, and it's okay. And Carolyn is shocked. She says, I never threw your name out there. What are you talking about? Never. And y'all want to know who said that to Britney? Danielle. So now Carolyn feels very, even more slighted by Danielle. But then it is time for the mission. So when they get there, they see this huge traitor effigy. Like if anyone saw the new movie Wicked, like when the movie starts and the witch dies and they bring this huge like replica of the Wicked Witch. That's kind of what it looked like, but in the form of a traitor. So essentially what this mission is that they have 30 minutes. So throughout the land, there are a lot of crates. And these crates are full of gunpowder. So the people are going to have to carry their buckets and fill up their buckets with the gunpowder and then deposit it. And if they deposit enough of that gunpowder that needs to be collected, then they can burn the huge traitor. And it's a all or nothing mission. So if they don't get enough, they just are not going to win anything. But here's the catch. There's going to be 3 groups, the red, green, and gold. And the groups are going to have to go and get the gunpowder found in each crate. The way to open the crate, you are going to have to answer a question, and it opens, you get the gunpowder, run back to deposit it. However, there will be 3 shields in between each of the 3 colors. So when they get going, the people, they don't even care about the gunpowder at this point. They want to go straight to the shields. And the ones that end up getting the shields are Carolyn, Dylan, and Chrishell. After they get the shields, then they focus on getting that gunpowder, and they eventually do have enough to explode the statue. By the way, during the mission as well, though, Gabby tells Carolyn that Danielle has also told her that Carolyn might be a traitor. So, this is just adding more to Carolyn being mad at Danielle. So, mission accomplished. They did it. When they get back, they're eating dinner. It's funny because Dolores is told what Tom Sandoval has been saying about her. She doesn't really care because everybody knows that he's not that smart. Derek, though, he is really working hard to gather troops to take down Boston Rob tonight. He's talking to Ivar. He obviously he has an alliance with Wes. Wes is also going around trying to convince people. He talks to Britney. He talks to Sam. Now, Carolyn is now trying to plant seeds on Danielle because that's how mad she is at her. Britney is sort of defending Rob, so Derek thinks that maybe she's a traitor too. And Danielle is really happy that Derek is the one leading the charge to take down Boston Rob. You want to know what's interesting? Chrishell seems to be very close and protective of Boston Rob. I mean, remember, she kind of got with him last week and went against her friend Nikki, so that's interesting. And she also lets him know that Wes is the one that's coming for him. So it is time for the round table. Now, Dolores begins, and she kind of whacks Tom, and she says, I heard that you've been saying it's me, so why don't you go ahead and explain? And he tries to explain, which was really funny because his explanation was just not just wrong, but completely dumb. And Dolores, she says something about a bad faithful being worse than a traitor, and so she calls Tom a bad faithful. But everybody is so over this, they don't even want it to be said. Derek says, can we move on? And everyone's like, yes, please, because they know they're wasting time by that. So Derek presents his argument against Boston Rob. Everything that he thinks is suspicious about him, and how Bob the drag queen, the night Bob the drag queen was vanished, Bob the drag queen said it was Boston Rob. So then Boston Rob defends himself. He reminds everyone that when Bob the drag queen left, he said he lied. He also says that he was personally scared in the morning that he was going to be killed. He says that he reminds the people that at the time, Bob the drag queen one time voted for Ivar, meaning that Ivar is definitely a faithful. He gives this whole explanation and says that whoever is a traitor they're very smart because they're clearly trying to put a target on him. And then he says that there's been so much chaos and so many names that have been put out there. He's heard Danielle's name, Carolyn's name, Dolores' name. And then he says it has all come from one person, and that is Wes. So then Wes talks. And you guys, it's kind of crazy. He correctly guesses what happened. He literally says, my belief is that when we were doing the statue mission and Bob the drag queen said that we should keep our eyes out on the 3 new guys, I believe that's when you took that negatively and wanted to get back at him for putting you at risk. Again, it's crazy how accurate he is, because that's exactly what happened. Gabby then goes for Wes. Chrishell does as well. Chrishell says that she sees that Wes is very aggressive, and Wes says, listen, I've always been aggressive. That's why I'm one of the best gamers in all reality television. and that he says that a traitor wouldn't want to be aggressive. And then he says, this might have been the nail in the coffin for him. He says to them, if somebody votes for me, I'm going to have my eye on you. Everyone kind of took that as a threat, and you can't be saying that, especially when you're kind of pleading for yourself. So then Carolyn interjects, and Carolyn says Wes is being used as a scapegoat, and she starts to talk about how she doesn't ever fit in life. She doesn't fit in here anyway, but she thought she had found an ally with Danielle. But now that many people have approached her saying that Danielle's putting her name out there and that she's spreading lies, that it's just too much lies and chaos. So Carolyn was going hard. She says, it's you, Danielle, you're causing all of this. And she's actually crying, and she says that Jeremy had mentioned her name and now he's killed. So this was just traitor on traitor crime. It was crazy. But then it is time to vote. Dylan was very quiet. He really didn't say anything at the round table because he didn't know who to vote for. But actually, he's the one that has to say what his vote was first. He ended up voting for Wes. And Britney kind of helped him come up with that decision, but Derek was very mad about that. Carolyn votes for Danielle, no surprise there. Wes votes for Rob, and then Sam, Ivar, Boston Rob, Chrishell, and Britney vote Wes out. Dolores votes for Tom, which that was such a dumb vote. Dolores, like, okay, you might be mad at him because he's saying your name and he's dumb, but like, voting Tom is a waste of your freaking vote. Come on now. Danielle votes for Rob, her fellow traitor. I think that in her mind, she thought this might have been the time when they were going to get him out, so she wanted to make sure that happened. Other people that also voted for Rob were Gabby, Derek, and Tom Sandoval. So at this point, it's 6 votes for Wes, 1 vote for Tom Sandoval, and 5 votes for Boston Rob. So the deciding vote was from Ciara. And if her vote went to Boston Rob, that would be a tie. And if it went to Wes, he would be eliminated. And she voted for Wes. So Wes was voted out. He gets to the circle of truth, and Wes, he has really big ego, so he's talking about how good he is, and a lot of people have been killed, and y'all, I will never know who did it because I am a faithful. And he says, F y'all, and he walks off. Wow. So then we see everyone talking a little bit. So Britney goes to Derek, and she says to Derek, earlier today, I asked you if you were going to come for Boston Rob at the round table, and you said you weren't. But you did, so you're a liar. Derek says that the reason he did that is because he notices how much Britney defends Boston Rob, and matter of fact, now he thinks that she too is a traitor. So then Derek goes over to Dylan, and now he's convincing Dylan that he knows for a fact that Boston Rob and Britney are traitors, which he has one right, one wrong. So then the traitors meet in the turret, and that was the most awkward traitor meeting ever. Because, Chrishell just voted for Danielle. Danielle just voted for Boston Rob. And it's crazy. So Danielle says, listen, after Bob the Drag Queen, I just really lost my trust in you, Boston Rob. But Boston Rob once again tries to explain, I only did that because he put me out there. Had he never done that, I would have never came for him. But he did, and that's why I had to do it. So he's explaining himself, but then this becomes Danielle versus Carolyn. And I feel bad for Carolyn. I know they kind of told her at the round table, you can't let your emotions get in the way. It's kind of hard not to let your emotions get in the way if your friend / fellow traitor is going around saying it's you. So I think Carolyn just having person after person tell her that Danielle's been saying negative things about her, she just couldn't handle it. So she's telling Danielle, we're going to come for you. And Danielle says, well, bring it on. Because if y'all do, I'm not just going to sit here. I'm going to come for y'all as well. So this is a mess. The thing about these traitors, the 3 of them, is that the trust has been broken. And unfortunately, I don't think that could ever be, they can't ever trust each other again. Because once it's broken, I mean, listen, it's gonna be a mess. I can. That was the end of the episode, by the way. My prediction is that Boston Rob, he's gonna leave soon. I think he was saved this week by Wes leaving, but that if I mean he already had a lot of eyes on him, but especially now he's gonna have even more. So I think it's safe to say that Boston Rob will be eliminated sooner rather than later. When it comes to Danielle and Carolyn, they're acting so crazy, but I think that might actually help them to their, that might help them. Like, that might be to their advantage. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see next week. This was a great, messy episode. Let me know what your thoughts were and what your predictions are. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on next time. Y'all have a great one.